Looking for a grout to come to service at 9.8 pounds per gallon, and in the scale this is coming out at about 10.1. Water requirement's huge to make sure, again, that we're pre-treated and we're using the exact amount of water that is required. You can be a half a gallon off and that's it, especially on a 400-pound mix. It's not necessarily the first thing to do is to blame the sand and say the sand's not doing what it should. You have to make sure the bentonite's able to suspend the sand, and you have to make sure the sand's been qualified. All of the major grout manufacturers, you can send in 10-15 pounds of sand. They'll send you back an analysis saying, hey, this is what's going to work. Hey, this isn't. This is angular versus rounded or sub-rounded. This is 50 to 70 mesh. Hey, this is 50 to 70 mesh, but for some reason, there's some 100 and 120 mesh in there. Those will all make a difference. So before you start a big geothermal project, make sure you qualify the sand. And then make sure your water requirements are exactly where they need to be. If your water requirements are off, that's where your sand's going to start to settle out. You can drive the water phase right out of that grout, especially at 72% solids, and plug that grouter right up. I've been in the field many times with this grouter and pumped 35 plus batches straight of 400-pound sand mix and not had an issue. And then there's other times it's just making sure your water requirement's exact, it's pre-treated, your sand is as good as possible, and all the manufacturers will qualify your sand. After we get to this point, it's a good idea to get a grout sample right out of the trimming to send into your manufacturer to make sure that we're getting the thermal conductivity we want. And a good rule of thumb is 10% of the holes that get drilled on your project, you ought to get a grout sample. Get 2 quarts, 3 quarts of material and send it in to us in Houston, or Setco does it, Wildbend does it. We all do sand qualification and thermal conductivity.